Dinesh D'Souza, in his golf shirt series, believes that, check this out, here's why it's time to abolish the FBI. The FB. All right.
Time the FBI has stood as this kind of neutral police agency of government, administering the laws, going after the bad guys.
Yeah, that's what they do.
Many of us got our early impression of the FBI from the movie The Untouchables, where
did we?
Elliot Ness leads this group of intrepid FBI agents.
Yeah, who are breaking off from the normalcy of the FBI and trying to cut a new swath because the organization might have had corruption within it, and they were trying to make that better. And by the way, who the fuck thinks about the FBI pre-J. Edgar Hoover in terms of any position it's in as a law enforcement agency at this point?
Chasing down the mafia, and this is you could call it the romance of the FBI.
Oh, is it? You bring some roses and I'll bring a gun.
But unfortunately,
that's the Chicago way.
Unfortunately, it contrasts very grimly with the reality of
No, it doesn't.
Of today's FBI, which is a corrupted agency, corrupted at the top, and since the instructions percolate down from the top, corrupted.
Yeah, that's true. So the entire U.S. government is completely corrupt because Donald Trump was president. Gotcha. I understand where you're coming from. Can I, just real quick, I'm just going to do a quick experiment, if I may. Like this. Plaque unveiled honoring 2 FBI officers killed while serving warrant in Sunrise, in Florida. FBI opened civil rights probe in the killing of Andrew Brown, so they're taking care of that, which is obviously part of his problem. FBI family, friend's family remember teen killed in her Tiger trucks and keys, and the FBI, the person that they, the defendant against, was shot by FBI agents. Let's see. The real Donnie Brasco. The FBI caught this guy, Providence man, accused of trying to hire a hitman to kill those 2 others. I'm sure those 2 others feel like, they're the FBI's a pain in the ass. CIA agents have been negotiating for 4 hours when the person got out of a car holding a gun and was shot by FBI agents. At least 20 killed in Metro Train. That was in Mexico. FBI investigates prison plagued by inmate slayings and hazings. Look, a woke CIA ad. There we go. This is the same shit that Don Jr. was talking about. There's a lot of the reports about the FBI agents were the ones who killed the guy who got out of his car and said he had a bomb in the car with a gun in front of CIA headquarters. 2 FBI agents killed, 3 others wounded in raid. And so let's see. Here we go. This is February 2nd. Dinesh. There you go. Let's take a look at this, shall we? This is February 2nd. This year. Did you hear about this? Probably not. Look at this. Look at this setup. Crime setup where they're cleaning up afterwards. 2 FBI agents are dead and at least 3 others wounded after a raid on a home in Sunrise, Florida turned violent early Thursday. The suspect reportedly barricaded himself in his home where agents were serving a warrant as part of a violent crimes against children case. That's right. These are 2 agents that were killed trying to stop a pedophile ring. You know, that whole QAnon thing? 2 FBI agents died going after this asshole. Tragically, the FBI lost 2 of our own today. Daniel Alphen and Laura Schwarzenberger. Some of you may have heard about this. We talked about it earlier this year, but 3 other agents were shot and wounded. 2 suffered injuries requiring hospital care, but both are now in stable condition. The 3rd injured agent did not require hospitalization. Praised Alphen and Schwarzenberger for showing heroism in the line of duty, saying the agency will always honor their ultimate sacrifice and will be forever grateful in their bravery. They were serving a warrant on a dude who was trafficking he was a pedophile trafficking child porn. Every family dreads the possibility of receiving that call. My heart aches for their families. We're heroes who are working to keep children safe from sexual abuse and online exploitation, scourges amplified by the COVID-19 pandemic. The violence erupted around 6 a.m. The Water Terrace apartment complex in Sunrise, west of Fort Lauderdale and Broward. Good old Florida man. Raid involved a team of law enforcement officers who were executing a search warrant that was obtained through a federal court order. You know, law and order. The FBI field office in Miami said no Sunrise officers were wounded because the FBI went in the front, and the local officers, which are harder to replace for a community than the nationwide availability of the FBI, were in the back. Police in Sunrise warned of a heavy police presence in the area on Tuesday morning, urged residents to stay indoors. Let's see. Alphen led the FBI's takedown of the Playpen dark website in 2015, an unprecedented victory that resulted in hundreds of arrests in the U.S. and other countries. By the way, that's the year before Trump took office. And according to Q, Trump was elected because no one was doing anything to save the children. Kids are being abused, and it's our job to stop this, Alphen said at the time. Schwarzenberger's case, including 2014, in which she extracted a confession from a man who admitted using deception and extortion to obtain nude photos from teenage boys in recent years. She also spoke to middle school students and media outlets about preventing cybercrime and sextortion scams. Alphen is survived by his wife and one child. Schwarzenberger by her husband and two children. So 3 children lost a parent in this raid. The FBI says investigation of the shooting is being handled by its inspection division. The FBI Agents Association, whose members include more than 14,000 active and retired special agents, said that when the shooting occurred, the agents were carrying out a search warrant to seize evidence in connection with suspected possession of child pornography. These agents were working to protect the most vulnerable in our society. The association's president, Brian O'Hare, said in a statement he pledged its organization's support for the agents and their families. So please, Dinesh D'Souza, tell us how the FBI have become the enemy of the people. You fucking creep.
Through and through. I'm not saying every ordinary FBI agent is bad. I'm saying that the top...
Not everyone, just the vast majority. So maybe not Schwarzenberger, but definitely Alphen. Is that what we're doing? Or the probably they were good, but the ones that survived with just debilitating bullet wounds to their abdomens, chests, and neck. Those folks?
brass is very bad. Now,
the upper brass is very bad. What do you mean? For sending them after the child pornographers in the first fucking place? Trying to stop the 50-odd serial killers that are active in the United States at any given time? Trying to shut down straw purchase gun assholes who are handing out guns to lunatics in parking lots all over the goddamn country? Or who are driving to Chicago with a trunk load of handguns every weekend?
now, I want to illustrate this point by giving two set of contrasts that highlight what's happened to the FBI. Look, for example, at the way the FBI treats, on the one hand, the January 6th protesters, with, on the other hand, the Black Lives Matter and Antifa protesters. Now, let's start.
This is why he's mad, by the way. This is why they're mad at the FBI. Because they've been pushing this bullshit that Antifa did January 6th. And the FBI is like, nah. Let's just see if... Hey, you know how they always say that the FBI and the woke Democrats don't give a shit about Antifa violence and all this stuff? And that the FBI... Oh, wait. May 29th, 2020. Arson and destruction at the Justice Center. Here's individual 1, 2, 3. Remember all those things we've seen about January 6th? You think there's a reason why Dinesh D'Souza and assholes like him think that they're not doing anything? Because these don't get posted on Twitter as much. Because they only follow lefties, and lefties are posting the January 6th stuff, and right-wingers are posting this shit, and he doesn't follow those people because they know it's a circle jerk. They should follow him. The FBI's Portland field office is assisting partner agencies by asking for the public's help in identifying the individuals who participate in criminal activity or may have been a witness to criminal activity inside the Multnomah County Justice Center on May 29, 2020. The Justice Center is located at 1120 Southwest 3rd Avenue, Portland, Oregon. Approximately 11 p.m. on that evening, several people broke windows near the northwest corner of the Justice Center where the Corrections Records Office is located. It is then believed that approximately 30 people entered the secured office space through the broken windows. 3 Multnomah County employees were in the office at the time and fled to safety as the windows were being broken. Some of these who entered the space damaged computer equipment and office furniture, damaged interior windows, started fires inside the office. So yeah, these assholes, who, by the way, should all go to jail for a very long time because they attempted to set fire to buildings with people in them. I don't give a fuck if you think that their job is somehow part of the status quo or some nonsense. You don't get to ever claim you're the good guy when some file clerk is 2 stories up and you set a fire on the floor below them. So, but again, Dinesh, tell me how the FBI doesn't seem, they're all woke and they don't give a shit and they're not caring about it. Let's
start with
see.
January 6th.
Okay, let's start with January 6th. You mean when people with thin blue line flags beat a cop near to death, gouged out one of their eyes, stabbed one with a flag, tased a dude till he had a heart attack?
The FBI is on a sort of relentless manhunt to chase everybody down.
No, they're not. No, they're not. There were tens of thousands of people who were at the Capitol on the 6th. They're only interested in the ones that broke windows, breached the Capitol, came in the building, did shit. They don't give a fuck about anybody on the steps. They're not even looking. If you weren't on the base steps where the cops were attacked, if you just jumped a fence or something, they couldn't give a rat's ass. They're looking for less than 1,000 people. There were like 6,000 people just at the Capitol storming the place. They don't even give a shit about 5,000 of them.
Every teenager, they're putting out
every teenager
photos all over social media. Let's get this guy there. And in some cases, they're talking about people who didn't do anything. They didn't even go in the Capitol. They were just in D.C., but nevertheless, they were caught in some sort of...
No. Because the people that were just in D.C. that they're looking for either arranged for the buses or were coordinating groups or were part of the storming groups and stood back and watched and were running point on stuff. Or, you know, I have to say, Dinesh, the guy who left, the man or woman who left the pipe bombs didn't actually storm the Capitol that we know of. They were just in D.C.
sort of video. So the FBI is relentless in pursuing these people.
Yeah. Because they are either responsible for, were the delivery system of, or were in the process of handing out ass whoopings to cops who, in incredible restraint, didn't open fire on them. Largely because they knew they only had 8 shots in their gun and there were 50 people around them.
It takes great jubilation when they grab one of them and they send the SWAT teams, they drawn...
Yeah, because they're violent felons, fuckhead.
Guns, dawn raids, this is their MO.
Bullshit. They rolled up and grabbed some people and just walked them out of their house. There's a bunch of these. Remember the lady who walked out and went, I don't know what the fuck his problem is. And they found her son or nephew or whoever he was. And they hey, you Jacob Fredrickson or whatever. Yeah. Were you there on the 6th? Uh-huh. All right, come on, get out in the car. And they just walk them out. Dawn raids. Jesus Christ.
Oh. Interestingly, with the Antifa guys, there was video available. These are people taking over.
With, you mean the people with masks and all the, oh, you mean these kind of photos? I don't understand why they haven't singled, like, that dude, like, where, I mean, honestly, who couldn't spot that guy in a line at Starbucks? Or girl? I mean, are we going with, because pink filters, it's a female? Here's the Joker-haired asshole. That guy should be fair. Did he dye his hair the next day? This girl right here with her little backpack setting shit on fire. They don't have a good shot of her head, so they can't get her. I don't know why they haven't found this guy, Dinesh. I don't know why they're asking the public to identify individual number 9. By the way, these aren't all the people who did this shit. They caught some of them already. God damn, this dude is dumb.
Buildings, burning churches, confronting people, much more violence and occurring over many, many months.
Yeah, and they are going after them. But it wasn't one big event. So they have difficulty coordinating, especially when these people are dressed in all black and they're moving around the country. It takes time. And they're building, and it's not, by the way, the FBI's job unless they attack a federal building or they cross a state line to do some of the damage. And that's harder to prove. So it takes more work. Fortunately for the FBI, all the Capitol rioters came from all over the country and entered a federal building without permission. Cut and dry, you dipshit. God, this is... And think about it, this dude is attacking the FBI right now. I mean, he's a felon.
Yet the FBI is like, what?
Hype train. Thanks, guys. Level 1 hype train. Please bring it. Don't forget to like and subscribe. Give us a thumbs up. I mean, who does this kind of work for you? Who actually, I mean, without any prep at all, can run through this kind of detail with these kind of morons and shut this stuff? Who? Me. You're welcome. Support in any way you can. Patreon.com/HalSparks. Like and subscribe. All that stuff. There, I'm done.
What can we do? How can we find these people? They're masked after all. So the FBI suddenly goes limp, goes, sort of...
What? Suddenly goes limp? Are we having a TMI moment, Dinesh? Is that just fresh in your mind for some reason? Rough night?
See no evil.
See no evil. They're finding them, asshole. Here's a good idea. If you actually gave a shit, you could do a whole 8-minute and 25-second video showing these pictures like I did. How about that, dickhead? How about, Dinesh, you do an episode a day on each of these people? You can find the video, you can coordinate it. I bet there are right-wing people who would finance you finding each of these Nurse Joker, whatever, the bad glasses bandit, Jay and Silent Bob, let's see, the blacked out Spider-Man wannabe, whatever the nickname you want to come up for these, non-binary Hello Kitty arsonist. Name them whatever you want. Do a video on Individual 8. Today we're doing Individual 8. Help us find Individual 8. Is anything stopping Dinesh D'Souza from doing that? And this is just one of these. The FBI has dozens of these pages, are going after all of these people.
And so the contrast is just glaring. It's obvious.
No, it isn't. No, it isn't. Because half the people who were on the street, who were running around with their backpacks on and stuff, didn't attack the federal buildings in Portland or didn't throw anything. They were just going, fuck you, and yelling at the cops and that kind of stuff, and then they ran away. But they may have driven to Seattle and done it. But since they're wearing all black, it's hard to find them, and they've got a system set up where they can run away. Unfortunately for the Capitol rioters, they're fucking dumb. They all charged the Capitol, and very few of them, even in a pandemic, were wearing masks. It's a lot easier to post a picture and say, help us find this guy, when he's like holding a piece of furniture he's stealing, than it is somebody who's like masked like this and looks like a cosplay ninja.
And
pull it out of your ass, you nutcase. This guy is arguing to get rid of the FBI. Not because they're not doing their job, but because he doesn't know the job they're doing.
then look at the treatment afforded people once they're arrested. The January 6th guys immediately locked up. They're put in solitary confinement. They're virtually
Bullshit. A lot of them went home. Tons of them went home.
being tortured, whereas the Antifa guys
Being tortured. Do you think this asshole gives a shit about anybody who gets arrested getting in solitary confinement except himself and anybody he aligns with politically? Get out of
catch
here.
and release. We catch them.
Level 4 hype train's coming.
They're out the next day. They catch them again. They're out the next day. So
That's local issues. That's not the FBI. That is not the FBI's problem. That's because they're being arrested as vandals in their own city because they burned a Starbucks. They didn't go to the state building, or they're not being charged for that, or the FBI hasn't gotten around to processing that because they're too busy rounding up the ones that they actually snatched at the moment for breaking the law right then. How does the Law and Order Party have no fucking idea how the legal system works or the limitations on what cops can and can't do? Because I bet you anything, if there was video of Rudy Giuliani throwing a pipe bomb or a can of soup, I suppose. Hold on a second. If we have some sort of,
Isn't it wonderful to allow protesting?
right.
No, this is soup for my family. They're so innocent. This is soup for my family.
So they find somebody who does that. Let's say it's Andrew Giuliani, and they've got his face showing. Shit, yeah, it's going to be easier to catch him than if he's like wearing goggles and holding a black umbrella and you can't get a good shot of him because they've already had somebody scout where the cameras are.
So
It is not the Antifa anarchist assholes' fault that the January 6th rioters are stupid, are bad at their job.
it's not just the hunting them down, it's the way they're treated once they
Hunting them down. That's what the FBI is doing. They're hunting people. And please tell me how Black Lives Matter as an organization and as individuals believing that phrase, which there may be some separation, but they show up at the same protests. How it's awful when they say the cops are hunting people down, but Dinesh D'Souza can say that the FBI is hunting people down. They're not sniping people, you asshole. They're not sitting in a duck blind blowing these assholes away. They find them. And then they go arrest them. And they treat them very nicely during that process because they want a confession, they want to get them in jail, and they want to save the public a lot of money because if every single one of these assholes fights tooth and nail or has their civil rights violated, then they'll be free again.
they are apprehended. That
Level 4 hype train. Thanks, guys.
makes all this really clear and really disgusting.
No, it doesn't. This is obfuscated bullshit.
Now, the second contrast I want to highlight is the contrast between
Wait, there was no contrast. You did not do your job in the first place. You gotta love the douche defending people that would totally betray him at the drop of a dime because of his skin color. Well, yeah, they use him for that very reason. They don't hang out with him, though. Like, I've seen a lot of interviews with Dinesh D'Souza where he's not there personally. They couldn't wait for Zoom call relationships with Dinesh.
in the way that the FBI has treated, for example, Rudy Giuliani, Trump's lawyer.
You mean when they showed up and they were very professional and he lied about them and said that they nearly knocked his door down and then he caught himself and walked it back? We covered this shit, asshole.
With the way that they have, let's say, not treated Governor Andrew Cuomo. So
Why would they cover? How is this? This is going to be good.
let's look at those two cases.
Yeah, let's look at those two cases.
In the Giuliani case,
Yeah, let's see what the Giuliani case, where he is coordinating with foreign actors who are trying to insert themselves into our electoral process. He was working as an unregistered foreign agent. That's the charge. And that he was working on behalf of not one of our allies in the case of Ukraine, but Russian sock puppets working through Ukraine to try and affect our elections in the same way that stuff happened in 2016. And how is that related? Are we going to go to the... Cuomo said old people should go back to their old folks' homes? Is that... Or the sexual charges against him? Which, by the way, if you want his door kicked in for that shit... how the fuck is Trump not being Brad Parscal'd out of his house?
The FBI does a dawn raid on Giuliani because they claim that they're looking for proof that he failed to register as a foreign.
No, they're not. They're not looking for proof. They already had proof. They were looking for awareness of guilt. Because if he erased things on his devices, or he was storing stuff elsewhere, or he was using some like WhatsApp or some sort of other thing in his devices to hide, what he had already had on his cloud, which they had a warrant for over 2 years. That would show that he knew he was engaged in illegal activity, and therefore that awareness of guilt would make their case clearer in front of a court. They'd already gotten a grand jury. They'd already gotten a warrant, and it wasn't a dawn raid. It was in the morning.
Foreign agent. First of all, is it necessary to do a dawn raid for that?
Yes. Yes, it is. If someone is an unregistered foreign agent, there's a big, mid-zone of what that means. They had already seen his iCloud, and therefore they made the distinction that this is a morning raid. They didn't come in the middle of the night like they did with Manafort, because Manafort, they don't give him any extra time. They wanted him to be asleep when it happened. It was like 5 in the morning, 4 in the morning when they went into his place, I think.
You're not looking for drugs in the house. He's not holding someone captive. Giuliani said...
That's why they knocked.
...through a statement that he had offered to sit down, both with the FBI and the Justice Department, and show that he has not violated any...
I don't know why we raid... I mean, if they just would... I'll tell you what. I'll bring in the devices I have. How do we know there aren't other devices at your place? Take my word for it. Well, if we took your word for it, your word would match with the paperwork you filed, and we now know through our intelligence that you lied. Why would we take your word for it?
Laws, but...
Yeah, dawn raid. The doorman announced them. Sir, the dawn raid is here. Oh, crap, I forgot. Is that today?
I think this is a scare tactic. This is an intimidation tactic.
No, it isn't. It's intimidating whenever your house gets raided, no matter what time of the day it is. That doesn't mean it's an intimidation tactic. Red lights on a cop car are intimidating, but they're also there so that the cars behind you don't slam into the back of the cop car when it's pulling you over and slowing down in traffic and whatever the shit you're doing as you pull over. And it's also to show you that they're official.
So see what the FBI does when they're turned into an instrument of this kind of a hit.
This kind of a hit. A hit. Really, Dinesh? Really? This kind of a hit. So the children of these agents, their parents were being thugs and they deserved it. Just one gang facing another, right? I mean, there's no difference. We just pay our taxes, pay for one gang instead of another one. Is that what it is, Dinesh? God
now,
damn.
Giuliani himself had offered to give the FBI the Hunter Biden information.
No, he didn't. He said he did. I don't buy it. There's no reason to believe him. It's a lie. There is no Hunter Biden laptop. Prove me wrong. Show me the actual thing. Post the entire contents of that hard drive online so we can all look at the metadata. If you're saying I got 6 pages of paper, you can take a look at that. I'll show it to you when you get it. You give me an exclusive, I'll show you this piece of paper. Right. What? Yeah, I have. And by the way, according to Rudy Giuliani, also there was child porn on those hard drives. Yeah, underage girls in states of undress that were just disgusting that required him to take them to the cop. And what did he do? What did he do? Did he give the original one to the police? No, he made a copy and gave that to them. And he had 3 other copies, supposedly. He's like, if you want those are the Hunter Biden hard drives. Why do you have 3 of them? It's a laptop. You made 3 copies. Are you passing them out? No. Remember that? That was what he said. No. We don't want that. So Rudy Giuliani is copying and harboring what he says is child porn in his place, and he has multiple copies of it. And you don't think that warrants a early morning raid? Why is Rudy Giuliani keeping copies of child porn? Especially when his boss was the head of the country and the FBI was running to NEP to give him the original. Just leave it. Because again, the fact that he has copies of it, or the fact that he has it at all and has had it for 2 years and is only handing out copies of it to law enforcement, would zero out the case if there was one that the FBI could have. If the FBI had any case at all against Hunter Biden, it's fucked because of Rudy Giuliani. Giuliani could have single-handedly, if any of what he's saying is true, allowed a man to have sex with children and get away with it. Rudy Giuliani single-handedly is guaranteeing that Hunter Biden would never be charged with anything if he's guilty at all. Let's just assume the worst about Hunter Biden. He will never, ever see a single fine or day in jail based on what's in that hard drive because Rudy Giuliani licked the fucking thing.
And here we're talking about copious evidence, emails and texts, and it's all there. Thousands.
No, it isn't. It's a lie. Doesn't exist. It's bullshit. It's all fake. You're just making it up. Because unless you're going to show the metadata on this, why would anybody trust a picture you print out and show to people, go, that's real, that's totally real, without seeing the metadata? Who made it? When was it taken? Was it taken from Hunter's phone? Was the face of the picture from him, but the body from another one?
Thousands of them. And what do they show? The exact same crime that they were trying to get Giuliani on.
Bullshit. They don't. They do not. Dinesh has never seen what's in that hard drive. He's taking Rudy Giuliani's word for it, which is a lie. And because of Rudy Giuliani, none of it would be admissible in court. A public defender could get the Hunter Biden laptop thrown out in 10 minutes.
Failing to register as a foreign agent. Well, Hunter Biden clearly was.
No, he wasn't. He clearly was not.
Involved in making deals with foreign governments. He didn't.
No, he wasn't. He was making a deal with Burisma, which is an energy company, a private company, private investors. He was shepherding their money through that company, a company that was formerly horribly corrupt. And curiously enough, after Hunter Biden was involved, ain't corrupt anymore.
Register as a foreign agent. The proof is right there.
There's no proof. The proof isn't right there. Right where? Point to it, asshole. Show me a copy of it. Hold it up. Does Dinesh D'Souza have a copy of the Hunter Biden hard drive that he's looked at himself? He seems to be acting as if he has. And if so, why isn't someone kicking down Dinesh D'Souza's door for receiving and distributing child pornography? All right.
But the FBI couldn't have been less interested. Oh no, why are you wasting our time? We don't need to even see it. They were.
Is that what they said? Were you there, Dinesh? Were you under the bed? Were you in the glory hole at the time?
Didn't even want to look at it.
Look at what? Look at what? What color is it? Is it in a hard drive enclosure, or is it just a removed hard drive? Is it an SSD drive that was pulled from the laptop? Are there 3 copies of it? Was it a 3-stacked one? Is it an old? How many rotations? Is it 7,400? Is it 5,400? Is it a RAID drive? Describe the hard drive, Dinesh D'Souza. You seem to know so much about it.
So here we see that Giuliani is the target, Trump is the target. That's really all they're interested in.
They're only interested in what they had a warrant for, which is Rudy Giuliani's electronic devices that are used for and possibly used in communications, meaning laptop, iPad, iPhone, or in his case, because that's what he's got. They didn't take his fucking toaster. They didn't take his DVD player or his cable box or his flat screen TV. They didn't take every electronic device in the house. They had a warrant for communication electronic devices. If the hard drives aren't hooked up to anything, they don't have a warrant for it. Ask Alan Dershowitz.
Now, Giuliani also revealed that the FBI and the DOJ have been secretly tapping his iCloud.
No, they're not tapping his iCloud. They got a warrant for it and they got to look at it. And how the fuck do you think investigations work? Do you think they have when they're looking into MS-13, you want them to walk around neighborhoods going, "Ladies and gentlemen, we will be conducting a scan of the Cash App and Venmo accounts of everyone in this area because we know there are 4 crack houses here." Like what? Yeah, it's an investigation. And it happened while Trump was in office.
His emails, his communications with Trump. Let's remember, Giuliani is Trump's lawyer.
Yeah. And you don't get to sidestep the law because you're a mob lawyer.
There's attorney-client privilege.
Unless you are aware of a crime before it's carried out. You don't make the authorities aware of that crime that your client intends to carry out, and the client carries out that crime, and the authorities find out about it, then you're no longer protected by attorney-client privilege. Because they've seen your emails and your correspondence when you are not working in your capacity as his attorney. Because at one point he said, "I'm working for the State Department." Well, guess what, asshole? If you're working for the State Department, you are not the president's lawyer at that moment. You are acting on behalf of the federal government, and therefore everything you do, remember that? Hold on one second. Let's find that shit. Hold on. God damn, this dude is dumb. Giuliani working for State Department. You guys remember that? This is it was on my birthday in 2019. That's lovely. This is a story from the Daily Beast. This was around, remember this? State Department asked me to look into Ukraine. Oh, did they? Well, guess what, asshole? You are now working on behalf of the U.S. government, and all of your correspondence dealing with this, if this is your mission and you choose to accept it, then they now get to look up your ass. How stupid can you possibly be? Trump attorney Rudy Giuliani told Fox News on Tuesday that he was personally asked by the State Department to contact Ukrainian officials and inquire about investigations into former Vice President Joe Biden, reacting to a Washington Post report that revealed he had injected himself into the Trump administration's foreign policy to pursue a shadow Ukraine agenda. Giuliani said while holding up his cell phone, "You know who I did it at the request of? The State Department. I never talked to a Ukrainian official until the State Department called me and asked me to do it. And then I reported every conversation back to them. So guess what? You're working as an official delegate of the State Department, and you think you've got attorney-client privilege covering anything interacting with Ukrainian officials? Done. How do they miss this shit? And again, kapow. You're right. It's 5:15. It's 5:17 now. I've got to take off soon because I got to go to rehearsal. You guys are wonderful. I'm going to. How much time is left in this stupid thing? Oh, it's halfway done. Son of a bitch. Well, you guys get the point. For the record, Dinesh D'Souza, you're an un-American asshole, and you're calling for the dismantling of the FBI because your asshole buddy Rudy Giuliani, who lied to Fox News and said that he was acting on behalf of the State Department, now wants, and that he was officially asked by the State Department, and that he was reporting every conversation to them. Laura, I'm a pretty good lawyer, just a country lawyer, but it's all right here, the first call from the State Department. By the way, he held up his cell phone. You know what that means? The State Department is a part of this whole thing. So therefore, they can lay claim to the conversations I had with them. So therefore, because of the Public Records Act, guess who gets his fucking phone? I don't understand how dumb. This is amazing to me. How idiotic. There's no way. Does Dinesh D'Souza, I mean, I remember this whole thing. I remember this conversation. A lot of you do too, I'm sure. Where Rudy's holding up his goddamn cell phone. It's all in here. It's all in this iPad. My conversations with the State Department. Well, guess what? You stopped being the president's attorney in regard to the Ukrainian policy and the Joe Biden compromat that you were seeking that second. Your entire case that I was acting on behalf of the president goes right out the... Am I the only one picking this up? Can someone please tell Rachel Maddow to bring this up? I can't just be screaming this to my lovely group of patrons and supporters here on twitch.tv/HouseBarks. Don't forget to like and subscribe. I got to go to rehearsal. You guys are wonderful. Think about this for a second. Feel free. And by the way, I'll post this article right before I leave. Rudy, this report is exactly the moment when Rudy Giuliani screwed his entire case of being just the president's lawyer. And that he was only working on behalf of Donald Trump, and therefore everything that he did over there and all of his communications are secret. Nope. The minute he makes this assertion, he becomes, and by the way, the State Department has every right to go, wait a minute, did somebody from here say that? Is that true? And then they ask him, he goes, yeah. And they go, well, we're going to need to see your phone then, buddy, because we don't have communications that say that on our end. And we need to see if Rex Tillerson or somebody else erased them while you were here. Thanks for telling Rachel. So, absolutely, Jane. Rudy, you fucked up, buddy. And Dinesh, you're a moron for drawing attention to it. And Don Jr., you will never be qualified to be a CIA agent or even a tech. You would never pass the screening if only for your blow usage to become a worker even on the grunt level at the CIA. Never. Not ever. And neither would your dad or your brother or your sister or her husband. None of you could clear that clearance. Fucking hell. I'm amazed at how stupid these people are. And I am so grateful that Rudy Giuliani is as dumb as he is. And I thank you guys for showing up. I know I was railing a bit today, but this pisses me off. You guys know that I understand the what goes on with law enforcement, and where it does go wrong, it needs to be addressed. But the vast majority of people in law enforcement are dedicated human beings, men, women, trans people who dedicate their lives to keeping everybody safe. And the only reason we only hear about it when it's bad. We only hear about it when it goes south. And the reason is because that's the only time it's news. Because every time it goes right or FBI agents or other people die in the process of doing their job, it barely makes the news because it's so normal. The news is man bites dog. If you hear a story, anytime you're hearing a repeating story in the news, even if it seems like it's happening a lot, it isn't happening a lot unless you're used to it, where you shrug it off. The way we are with like dudes with AR-15s at this point. It still makes the news. But dudes with handguns don't. So, when it comes to the law enforcement and the FBI and the CIA, all J. Edgar Hoover and black site stuff aside, which is not the majority of the circumstance that these folks work their way through, I tip my hat to them. Period. And if you don't like me for that, or you're so anti-authoritarian you can't see competency right in front of you, that's not my problem. That's yours. I'm respectful to law enforcement because I think they deserve it, not because I suck up to authority in any kind of a way. I mean, look at my haircut. Or lack thereof, I guess. Anyways, I love you guys. Take care of yourselves and take care of somebody else.